All right. Hi, Shelley.
Okay,
Welcome to Carry On Collective's Community Forum. I
thank
am
you.
very happy to have you with us today, talking about your reelection campaign for the SRVUSD Board of Education. And before we start, I just want to give a quick disclaimer. I've invited all of the candidates to participate in this podcast. I do not live in area 2 or 3, right? Which are the two open board positions. So I can't vote for either of you, any of the candidates. And if there's any questions you can't answer because you are an active board member, just let me know and we can skip past them. We're going to stay focused on the issues. We're going to try to stay away from personal beliefs, which you're pretty good at anyway. So why don't you give us a little background about you and tell us why you're running for reelection?
Okay, well, thank you for the opportunity today. It's really great to be here with you. And so how I got into this whole thing is I have two kids. They both went through San Ramon Valley Unified Schools K through 12. My son graduated in 2018. And I got involved in different school activities, but when my son was in elementary school, I decided I would do something I'd never done, and I chaired the auction for that year for that school site. And we raised about $140,000, and it was an incredible experience. And when I saw what that money could do and what parents could do when they were active in the school district and the help we could be, the changes we could make, the difference we could make, I kind of got bit by the bug, and I became president at John Baldwin of the PTA. When my son went on to Charlotte Wood, I was Ed Fund president there, and I brought the first online registration system ever in the school district to Charlotte Wood and San Ramon Valley High School when my son graduated and went to San Ramon Valley High School. I was a PTA president at San Ramon Valley High School. I was on the homework committee. I was on the tech committee. I was on the site council. And I chaired two committees for the school district, the Parcel Tax Oversight Committee as chair for 3 years and co-chair of the Facilities Oversight Committee for 2 years. So that's how I got here, because when my son graduated in 2018, I was one of the 4 finalists to fill Denise Jennison's seat. She had left before her term was up. At that time, I wasn't chosen, but in 2020, with everything that was going on and the incumbent in his seat for many, many, many years, I felt like there were changes that needed to be made that would benefit our students that weren't happening. And so at that time, that's when I decided that I wanted to run because I wanted to make change that was going to benefit the students in the school district. As you know, we are five members of a board, and singularly, we have no power. We only have power as a governing board. But with the at the same time, Laura Bratt was elected, and John Malloy became our superintendent. And those changes in the board and the superintendent has made a huge impact on the school district, I feel, in a very positive way.
Yep. So what do you think your experience qualifies you, or how do you think your experience qualifies you to serve on the school board?
Well, that one is a really easy one for me because I was on so many different committees, like I said, including site council, homework committee. We had a parent advisory group at San Ramon High School. We redid the bell schedule so the kids could have more sleep. That was before a lot of the sleep studies came out. So what happened for me in all those experiences is that I gained a lot of understanding about how the district functioned, the inner workings, working at school sites, and then working with multiple organizations to come together for the benefit of the schools. And when we did the new building at San Ramon High School, I was on the FOAC, and I helped design on the design of that building, and I fought for those 263 parking spaces. And working with the town of Danville, got $1.4 million for that parking lot. That was only going to be 63 parking spaces when they did the new building originally. And kids at the high school I saw are getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning so they can get a parking space. So very long story short, my experience qualifies me because I have a deep understanding and passion for this school district and its students. And my background is varied. It is not, it's not your typical board member as far as what I do for a living now versus what I've done in the past. I was a court reporter for years, and I was a beauty director for Nordstrom for years, and I became a CFO for a small tech company here in Danville. And so I think all of that comes together to make me be the most qualified by far to continue in this seat.
I'm gonna sidebar you real quick. How do I put this nicely? Here's what I hear from others, and how would you address this? There are many people saying, since you don't have a child in the district anymore, you're not in touch with what's currently happening in our district. What would you say to that?
I would say that they don't do their homework very well, because at every opportunity, and you can check the record on this, I spend time with our students. I do regular site visits to all of our sites, as many as I can. We are, as board members, we're assigned liaisons to a certain number of schools each year, and they rotate. I always get around to all my schools. Number two, I attend the Student Senate meetings on a regular basis. The Student Senate was brought in when I got elected. It was on my platform. It's middle and high school representatives from each school that meet regularly, and they bring information forward to the student board member who also came on in 2020 and was part of my platform. And they bring that to the board. It's really insightful. I spend time regularly in committee meetings with lots of students, social emotional well-being committee. I attend SLAM. SLAM is a program that we do in our high schools, Student Leaders Anti-Racist Movement, to try to combat some of the racial issues that come up in our school district. I also go to the GSA meetings, and I attend luncheons with our affinity groups. There is not a week that goes by that I don't spend time with our students. So anybody that says that I'm out of touch is out of touch, because I've had 2 kids go through this school district, K through 12. And there's something to be said for that, because board members, and we're all great, and our hearts are in the right place, which I'm really happy about. Not all board members have that experience. And you need to have that experience, because I can tell you, those who have kids in elementary school or even middle school, high school is a whole different set of issues and challenges. You have to have both. And we do have both. Laura has kids in school, Jesse has kids in school, and we could never replace Rachel, because she is so knowledgeable and has so much history with the district that people don't realize how valuable that is. This is not an easy job, and you cannot do it in a vacuum. There's a learning curve to it. And I recently took the Masters in Governance course, California School Boards Association. It's like an 8 or 10 module certificate that you earn that educates you on all aspects of being a board member. So that's how I keep informed. I spend time with the students.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's talk about the budget specifically and finance. And if you can't answer these, let me know. Okay. What is your opinion right now on our district's current financial situation?
I'm concerned, as I think we all are, because I want to make it clear that the budget issue that we have is a budget issue, not a cash issue, as our superintendent has pointed out. But I want to make it clear to people that we are kind of at the mercy of the state and the way that they distribute funding and the formula that they use and how much money they have, right, in their coffers, in their general fund. Most people don't understand that our funding for this district is not fully paid for with property taxes. 53% of our budget is covered by our property taxes, but the other half mainly comes from the state. And so when the state is in a deficit and they don't have money in the general fund, then the amount of money that school districts get goes down. So it's always concerning. It's a place we've been before in 2008, and we are not alone. I can name many, many, many districts around us that are actually in worse shape and are deficit spending because of this terrible situation right now with the economy. So what we have done is that we have convened a budget committee for the first time since I've been in office. And that committee is comprised of 2 board members, administration, teachers, students, parents. So all stakeholders are represented. And we're have a series of meetings on the books. We've had a couple already. And we are tearing apart and going deep into our budget in all different aspects to try to ascertain if there is a way for us to make these cuts so that they don't affect students. So I don't know where that's going to go, and I can't make any promises about what those cuts are going to be, or I can't see that right now, but I can guarantee you that with the people that we have on that committee, those will be the best choices that we could make. They certainly may not be easy to live with. So that's where I am with that.
Okay. In an ideal world, what do you believe deserves funding the most in our district specifically?
Well, so basically what happens is with the LCFF, which is the local control funding formula, is the state ascertains they have basically a basic grant. Everybody gets the basic grant. And then other monies are given out in layers, basically, for school districts that have more unduplicated students. And those are students who are foster homeless, underprivileged, English language learners. We don't happen to have a lot of those. And so we don't get that funding, very little, a small percentage. And so it leaves us with the base grant. And that base grant is not enough. So in a perfect world, I would want to be funded, number one, on enrollment, not ADA, because whether a student comes to school or not, or there's 2 or 3 kids missing out of a classroom, you still have to have a teacher. You still have to have the lights on. You still have to have all the services that you have if there's 2 kids missing or not. So that never made sense to me. And there is a bill in the assembly right now that they're trying to get through. It's never been successful, so I'm not going to hang my hat on that. But in a perfect world, it would be great if they would raise the base, which would raise everybody's base, right? Even the other school districts who need more money. I don't begrudge them that, but we're left in the low funded of the state, right? So one of the things that is important to me is teacher retention, teacher salaries, and class size. Because if you talk to teachers, one of the things that they say that they would like to have, and that they, if there was more funding, was to reduce class size. And I would also put more money towards special education, because special education is suffering greatly and it's costing us a huge amount of money out of our general fund, because we don't get enough funding from the state or the federal government to cover anywhere near the costs that we have. And of course, we always want to stay on the cutting edge of academics. We want to make sure our kids are academically doing well, and this is not an or, it's an and, that we're supporting their mental health. Because studies have shown, and there's many, many of them, that when students do not feel good mentally or emotionally, or they're struggling with all of that, they don't learn well. And one other thing I want to clarify about that. We've taken a lot of heat because people say, why are you focusing on mental health and social emotional learning and you're not focusing on academics? We are not an either or. This school district is full of talented people, not only administrators that I've worked with for the last 4 years, but teachers who I'm in contact with constantly. They deserve to have decent pay, and their class size is reduced. And I just think that if we got more funding, it would go in all those directions, and it would be better for our kids, and also some more mental health supports. If studies show that if they're struggling with that, they're not being able to be present. And we're doing both. If you look at our, and I don't have this memorized, so I just want to share with you what the superintendent shared. We have 16 National Blue Ribbon schools. We have 29 California Distinguished Schools. We have 30 California Gold Ribbon schools. We have 1 California Exemplary Arts Education School, and we are a lighthouse district in the country. In the United States, a lighthouse district is a designation that shows people or tells people that we are exemplary in the way that we execute the education of our students and in the things that we're doing for them. So academically, we're a high-performing district. We will continue to be, and we continue to have that as our focus in our strategic directions. But it's not the only thing that students need to be successful.
Yeah. So why do you think that the parents in our district specifically think that academics are lacking, when it sounds like, and it's pretty clear, that we are still a high-performing school district and that our students are achieving academic success? Why do you think there's such an emphasis on the parents or the community in a whole believing that that's not true?
I think it's a combination of things. I think one of them is sometimes parents are, they're busy, they're working, everybody's, doing their thing. They may not be paying attention to some of the things that I just talked about, that it doesn't really register. I think COVID had a lot to do with that feeling, because people like to say, oh, COVID's over, we need to move on. Well, there's studies out now. They're finally, looking at the students in general that went through COVID. And the title of one of these articles is the learning loss from COVID. Coming back from that is going to be a slog, because people think that it just went away, but the learning loss that these kids experienced, it's still here. So we struggle because we had great programs in place, and then the COVID money dried up, and we didn't have money to pay for MTSS liaisons anymore, which was a huge help to our teachers and our students that were struggling. So, I mean, I think that's part of it too, because our test scores are not where they were before. It's true, they're a little bit lower, but we're slowly coming back. And I think that there's a portion of our community that doesn't value mental health supports for the kids. They think it's stupid, like, why are you doing that? They don't need that. But
Yeah, or they believe they can handle it at home and that it doesn't need to be emphasized at school, right? I hear that a lot.
right, but I spend time with all the kids,
Mm-hmm.
all the students, especially in secondary where it starts to get really stressful. And they're telling me something different than their parents are, because they want the support. They need the support. And that's what they tell me. And that's the voice I listen to, because they're the ones who are experiencing this every day. And I listen to everybody, but I mean, when it comes to mental health supports and things that the kids need, and they tell me specifically, that holds a huge amount of weight for me.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about the community and the school board and teachers and parents. How do you think the best way is to really foster the collaboration between all of those things? It's a very complicated animal when you're dealing with parents and teachers and students, and you're trying to make them all happy. Nearly impossible. What do you think the best strategies are to really build trust and improve communication with the community that you're serving?
Well, I have tried to be accessible. I was the first board member that did office hours. So people could reach me anytime. I didn't make them adhere to a certain day or time. I mean, I had a certain day, but if they would email me and want to talk to me, I would accommodate their schedule. We would have a Zoom meeting like this, or I would meet them in person. So that's a huge piece for me, because I want my community to know that I'm here and I'm accessible to them. As far as other ways to do that, the thing that's made it more difficult is, in the last couple of years, school boards have become political. And back in the day, when my kids were in school, when my daughter was in school, not so much my son, um, that wasn't the case. It was purely about the kids. It was purely about, all the issues that we deal with to make sure they're okay and make sure they're, doing well. But now there's all these other factions that have come in that are trying to control curriculum, LGBTQ, books. This is all political. This is not, to be honest with you, I wish people would stop focusing on the things that are not an issue and start focusing on the things that would actually help our kids.
Yeah.
But I understand some people think those are important, and I have listened to all of them, and I try to put myself out there to everyone. We communicate regularly through our Friday Brights, and the superintendent goes out to all of the booster groups, the PTAs. And so as a district, we have a whole communications department, and they do a great job of communicating with the community. And there are many, many, many opportunities for parents to get involved, and I would encourage them to do that.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Okay. Okay, let's switch gears real quick. I'm going to ask you one more question. What is your definition of educational success? So, what do you think is essential for a student to develop and grow in our district specifically?
Academic success or
I think
general?
all encompassing, all encompassing. So, academically, mentally, social, emotional, all of that. What do you think is the key elements to really getting our students ready for the world, for continuing
So
education, for whatever they choose after they graduate high school?
the learner profile that we developed, that is for exactly that. So critical thinkers, innovative collaborators. I'm trying to, I should have them memorized, I don't. There are 5 different qualities that we have that we teach to. It's basically our North Star in what we want, the qualities and the abilities that we want our students to have based on academics, based on, social emotional learning also, but also based on information that we gleaned from employers in all different facets of industry in the Bay Area. And we started developing it through, our academic portion of our school, but also from the things they said that they want in an employee or a student who's coming out of college, for example, to be able to do or be able to be and have the tools that would make them successful. So if you go to our website, you'll see the learner profile, and we also have our strategic directions, and those strategic directions actually support the work that makes the learner profile come to life. And I have seen some of the changes that have been made in our school district, and that our teachers are teaching differently and doing more innovative things, and the students are owning their own learning, and they have a say-so and they participate in it. And it's an amazing thing to see because they're so much more engaged. We're trying to get away from that old way of basically you memorize, you memorize, you study to the test, and then you take the test and then you forget it all. That doesn't work anymore, and it doesn't serve our students either, because they need to have better tools than that when they go out into the world after they leave our doors. We are determined to make sure that they are ready and that they have the abilities and the qualities they need to be successful, whether they go to college, they go to vocational school, they go wherever they go in the world. It's as you know, the world is a different place now, and our kids are exposed to so much more. We need to make sure they have what they need when they leave us.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. Okay. Final thoughts. Anything you want to touch on, priorities, goals for the district, anything that you feel you want somebody to know when they're considering voting for you?
Well, I want them to know that even though I don't have a child in school now, I am passionate about these kids. And I spend so much of my time with them because it's the best part of my job. And what I want is I want for every student, whatever level they're at, to be given what they need to be successful. So some kids don't struggle and maybe they're at a level here, but maybe there's a child that is down here and they need the extra help. That's what we call equity in our school district. And we want all kids, all students to be able to be at that same level when they leave us. It's really important that we zero in on that, because I think a lot of kids got left behind before. So I'm passionate, I care. I have the background and the qualifications for this job. It is not a no qualification job. It's not just a volunteer job. It's a $470 million budget, and it's 28,600 kids. What I would ask voters is, look at both of us. Look at my opponent and what she's done, and look what I've done. Who do you want to trust with that?
Yep. Awesome. Thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you for the invite. I totally enjoyed it. I felt like I talked too much, but you asked, so.
No, the whole point is to hear from you, not me.
I appreciate that. I've been on podcasts where that wasn't the case.
No, absolutely not. The voters want to hear from you. It's most importantly that the community learns about you and connects with you. They don't want to hear from me. They don't want to hear my opinion. I'm not running for this.
Well, I
Um,
appreciate it.
yeah.
And you had
So
great questions, by the
thank
way.
you. Appreciate it. Thank you also to ChatGPT for helping me. So
Well, I
not
could
all of
have fed
that.
you some.
All right. Shelley,
Okay.
tell us what area you're in and what community would be able to vote for you, or we'll see you on the ballot
Okay,
in November.
so we have some kind of weirds mapping, so I'll
Very
try to
much.
explain it the best I can. So I'm in area 2, and area 2 comprises the east side of 680. It goes to Sycamore Valley, Stone Valley Road. So I have a portion of the Monta Vista population, right? That high school. Then it comes all the way down 680. It covers McGee Ranch, if you're going that way, part of Blackhawk. Then if you're going the other direction down 680, it goes to right around Costco. But now I have more of a portion of San Ramon, like where Golden View Elementary is and the Crow Canyon Country Club, because we had to redistrict our maps last year and my area got smaller and Laura's got bigger. So we have to be within 10% of each other voter wise. So I have some of San Ramon. I have about 500 voters at least in San Ramon.
So
So
weird.
that's my area.
Okay.
And hopefully everybody that's in that area will see my literature on their doorstep here pretty soon.
Awesome. All right, Shelley, thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Sure, my pleasure. Thank
We
you
will
for inviting me.
look forward to November.
Yeah, me too. Can't wait. Thanks.
You're welcome.
All
Bye
right.
bye.